Okay, I'm Omar Salcido, and this is my week 6 final project. Here we begin with creating the classes. This is the card class, and I create the variables name uh, and value. So value, name, I think I have variables value and name. The values to hold cards, and just for the name. Here I'm giving the card the name, the value, and the name that are passed into the variables. So here's where the class gets the populated. So the value and the name. Here I get the value of the variable value. Here's like our getter. Here I get the value of the variable name, and this is our describe method. Let's see, this is my next class, deck. So here I make the class name deck and create the list of hold cards right here as the array list. Here I make the array list cards populated with suits in the deck. So right here. And suits, here's all 4 of them in the string array. Here I make the nested for loop. In the first loop, it creates a string variable named suit and goes through every suit in the suits. So that's this part right here. In the second loop, it checks if the value of that suit is between 2 and 14. It's here. And it takes the name of the card and adds it to the value and the suit to it. Then adds a new card to the cards using the card from the card class. So that's this part here. Here I make the method shuffle to shuffle the cards it takes in the cards array and shuffles them using this method. Here I make the method draw, which uses the cards from the cards class, and if the list of cards is not empty, it draws another card, removing a card from every draw. So that's here. It uses that first card or that coming up card from the shuffle, and it removes that first spot, which is 0 in the array. Here's the player class. I create the class here. Here I assign the list of card to hand. I create the variable score and name. Here I give the player a new array that comes from the hand array, and I set the score to 0 here to begin. I also name the player and assign it to this instance of the variable, so that's here. Here the method prints out information about the player and calls the describe method for each card in the hand list. So it's going to print out right here the name of the player and this part, so that's concatenating it here, and this is the describe method. Here the method removes and returns the top card of the hand, and this card flip. If hand isn't empty, then it does flip, and then on the hand, and it removes that first spot, which is 0 again on the array. The draw method takes the deck as an argument and calls the draw method on the deck, adding the return card to the hand field. Public void. So here, this is where we do that. In this method, I'm adding 1 to the player score field, so this is just adding 1 to the player score, and here we get the score. That's a getter for the score. Here is the main method, or the main class. Here instantiate a deck and 2 players. Right here, Michael and Dwight from The Office, if you've ever watched that. Here I call the shuffle method on the deck. So here we're doing that using a for loop. I iterate 52 times, calling the draw method on the other player. Each iteration using deck I instantiated. So here's where we go through that loop for both players. Using a for loop, I iterate 26 times and call the flip method for each player. So this is where we do that for both players. Here I compare the value of each card returned by the 2 players flip methods and call the increment score method on the player whose card has the higher value. So here we're calling that method on both cards, and if the card of the first card for the first player is bigger than the second, then we increment the score on player 1, and then we print this out for Michael, who's player 1. Same here on player, or else this is what it prints out for player 2, or else it's a draw. This line creates an, this is just a spacer on the console. It's just a print new line. I compare the final score from each player here with these variables, player score, player score. Here I print the final score of each player, and either player 1, Michael, or player 2, Dwight, or draw. So here we're just printing final scores, printing out Michael's score, Dwight's score, and an if statement. So here, if the player 1 score, which is Michael, is bigger than player 2, then Michael wins. Else, if it's the opposite, then Dwight wins, or else we print out it's a draw. So here I will run this. And here we go. We'll go to the top. Here's all the rounds. Here's that spacer I was talking about. And we'll go all the way to the bottom. Final scores. Dwight wins. And that's it. Thank you.